Hello chess friends, and welcome to Yazarov's chess channel, and welcome to my Basics in Chess series. So in this series, of course, we do some opening principles, middle game strategy and middle game planning, and some endgame basics. So today I wanted to show you a very nice weapon in chess, and it's called the Zugzwang. And the Zugzwang, it's an expression from the German language, and the English translation would be a compulsion to move. And this Zugzwang is really a funny situation because you see, when you're playing chess, of course, you want to be on the move. You want to be active, you want to have this tempo, but this Zugzwang is really the situation when you have the move, it's basically your disadvantage. That's the problem, because in every next move that you make, you weaken your position. So that's really a problem. You see, it's sort of a paradoxal chess principle, and here I wanted to show you some good examples which explain this Zugzwang very easily. So here we have a position, and it's white to move and white to win here. So you see that the material is equal, but here, well, white has a very strong idea and a strong move. Here he has the move king on d4. So you see, now it's black to move, and black's disadvantage is because he's on the move, not because he has to play, he has this advantage. No, he has really the disadvantage here, and every move now that he makes will lose the game. So you see, if of course he moves the king maybe to d6, then you get rook on d8, and of course you have to put your rook maybe here on, or play with the king, and then white can simply promote here. So let's see another possibility. So what if we move the rook? If we move the rook somewhere, again you see black's disadvantage is that he has to play a move, and that's the strong idea by white with this move king on d4. So he forced black to do something, and now black was in this Zugzwang position, and here we have maybe rook on d7. But now again you get the same idea with the check, and of course if you go somewhere with your king or put the rook in between, you get again the promotion, and of course white will win the game. So let's see now more complex position in this Zugzwang situation. So we here already set you up a position. It's now an endgame with some knights and some queens, and we have again equal material. But again, here white played a very strong move, knight on d6. So of course with the check, and well, black's problem is if he takes the knight on d6, well, then white will have this very strong pass pawn on the d file, and he can go to promotion and take another queen, of course, have a winning endgame. So that's why here black played king on f8, and now white plays again on this Zugzwang motif. He plays queen on c8, and now you see we have the spinning position. And the problem is that the queen cannot play. If the queen goes somewhere, maybe here on g7, or maybe here on h4, of course, while white will simply take and win the piece. And of course the same thing with the king. If the king goes somewhere and leaves the defense of the knight, again white will simply take the knight and of course win the game. So let's see now the continuation. What white has to do here, he has to do nothing here. He has to just wait until black moves all of his pawns, and we have created here a blocking position, and then black will be again in this Zugzwang position where he has to move maybe with his king or with his queen. So the idea is here to force black to do a move with the king or the queen and leave the defense of this e8 knight. So here h6 was played. You see white has no problems. He can play anything that he wants. He played here simply king on f1. You see black is really in this Zugzwang position. So we have here h5. Now h4 again. Black cannot take the h4 pawn because white will simply take out the knight. So here h6. So he tries maybe to deflect the queen from the attack of the knight, but again white simply plays with the pawn, and he doesn't allow black to move the king or the queen. Here we have h5 and now h4, and this a5 and a4, and this is the position in which black resigns. So let's see now the possible continuation. You see the black has to move maybe again a pawn. So which pawn can he move? He can play maybe here f4, then you can play simply f3. So what to do now? Again, black is in this Zugzwang position. He has to move maybe with the pawn. Again, he has to move maybe the g5, and then can simply take. So what to do now? Again, he has to move the pawn, but now again we can play maybe something like b3, and then if black plays here h3, then you can simply take on h3, and now again black has to move. Again, I'm pointing you out, if he plays with the queen or with the king, he will lose the piece, but now white can allow himself that he simply takes out this knight and trade the pieces, because he has now this two pass pawns and of course a winning endgame. So really effective weapon, this Zugzwang. And now I wanted to show you a really complex position in this Zugzwang. Well, I found really two immortal Zugzwang games. So let's see now the first one. It was played by Bruce Harper against Robert D. Zook, and Robert D. Zook with black pieces here. And we cannot talk really here about an endgame, but I really wanted to show you this effective weapon. Here, Robert D. Zook played here bishop on e4. So with an attack on the bishop. So here white tried queen on d7. Now we have bishop takes on g2, rook takes on g2, and now queen on e4 with the pin on the rook. So that's why white brought the knight into the defense, and now we have h6, fixing the pawn here on g5 and creating also some space for the king. So what to do now? You see, we have now so far created this small Zugzwang position in which this rook is not able to play. So here h4 was played, and now a rook on f2 with the pin on the rook. So now, of course, white has to bring the queen into the defense. He played here queen on h3, and now comes this monster Zugzwang move, g4. So very annoying stuff here for white, because he has to play with the queen here on h2, and now all the pieces of white are really paralyzed. The knight cannot play because the knight doesn't have any squares. If the knight goes here, of course we can simply play with the rook here on the check. You see this queen and the rook cannot play. The queen doesn't have any space. The queen has only the h3 square, and of course the rook cannot play because of the pin. Very paralyzed position here for white. So let's see now the continuation. Here black simply played another pawn move, h5. He doesn't have to worry. White is in this Zugzwang position, and here we are waiting till white plays all of his possible moves with the pawns. So here he played b4. We have rook on f1. Now really all of the pieces are paralyzed. Even the knight cannot move, the rook cannot move, and the queen cannot move. The king is stuck here, and really the king doesn't have any space to breathe. So here b5 was played, and now simply king on h8, now a4, king on h7, again a5. We are waiting till white doesn't have any pawn move left. So here we have king on g8, 8x b6, and now 8x b6, and you see this is now the position in which white resigned. Basically what he has to do, he has to give up his queen because he hasn't any moves left. So this is a perfect Zugzwang position here played by black. Very strong idea, very nice idea, and I really love these Zugzwang games. They're something else in chess. I think they're really attractive to see. So let's see now one of the best Zugzwang games in chess history, and this was a game. It was played by Friedrich Chemisch and against Aaron Nimzowitsch. And both of them were very strong theoreticians in chess, wrote many books about openings, and many openings are named after them. And here Friedrich Chemisch, well, he played the move e4. He played here simply on this attack on on the knight, and he probably thought, okay, black cannot take the pawn on e4, but that's what black does anyway. He played f takes e4, and now, well, Friedrich Semisch simply took the knight on h5, and now rook on f2. Here we have already the spinning position on the second rank, so the bishop is so far paralyzed. And now let's see how Aaron Nimzowitsch paralyzes all of the pieces here for white. The interesting thing is that here you see many pieces on the board, and Aaron Nimzowitsch will managed to paralyze them, all of them. So very strong positional player, this Aaron Nimzowitsch. As I said, this very strong Nimzo Indian defense was called by him, and he was really, as I said, a great theoretician in chess. So let's see here, queen on g5, now rook from a to f8. Now you see the queen is also endangered here. The queen doesn't have any good squares. And if you can notice, here the knight is also paralyzed because the knight doesn't have any good squares. It cannot go here on c3, d2, or maybe a3. Very bad positions by these pieces by Friedrich Semisch. So we have here king on h1, and now rook from 8th rank to f5. Now we have queen on e3, and now bishop on d3. Very strong move by the bishop. The bishop is now really active on this d3 square and supported by this e4 pawn. So now we have rook from c to e1, and now h6. h6 is the preparation to play the move g5 and again restrict the mobility of the queen here. So it's really announcing now this Zugzwang position, in which you see what to do here for white. He doesn't have any good squares left, so here is the position in which white resigned. You see, there are no moves left here for white to do. What he can do, maybe to play the move g4. You see, any move that he makes will lose the game. If, of course, let's see, try the bishop on f1, we can simply take the we can simply take the bishop. And if the queen doesn't have good squares, so the queen can also not play. So you see, if the rook plays somewhere, again we can play here rook on e2, attacking and trapping the queen. So what to do now? The knight cannot go out. This is a perfect one of the best Zugzwang positions that I've ever seen in my life. So maybe white black and white can try maybe this move g4, but then you'll get rook on f3 again with an attack on the queen. And if you white is forced here to take with the queen, if he takes with the bishop, you get checkmate here on h2. So I really loved this game as I saw it, and it's really one of the best Zugzwang games. As I said, really paralyzed all of these pieces by white. Very strong position here created by the legendary Aaron Nimzowitsch. So you see, any move is basically a losing game for white here. So I hope you realized this important principle in chess, and I hope you realized this importance in an endgame, because in an endgame this Zugzwang happens quite a lot, because when you have maybe this 2-on-1 situation, then you can create this situation in which you just play these waiting moves and force your opponent to play a move in order to weaken his position. So that's the main idea in this Zugzwang. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Meanwhile, you can watch all of my basics in chess videos, and of course you can watch my chess tactics, chess puzzle series if you want to have a very nice tactical ideas in your chess game. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, and chess is the best.